Today I wanted to do a revisit on thermostat wiring and kind of explain what exactly the color coding is for a thermostat. A typical thermostat, that is. So this thermostat here has a sensor. I went ahead and installed the sensor. It says it's an outdoor sensor, but it's actually just a supply temperature. So blue is normally C, green is normally G, yellow is normally Y, white is normally W, and then red is generally RC or R. But normally RC and R is jumped. This is for a standard system. I'll do a later video on how a heat pump's wired up because it has a couple different color coding differences. So if this isn't the same, the colors to each of the terminals, go downstairs to your furnace, double check the wiring. I'll go ahead and show you how you would check that. So first you would make note of the colors that are upstairs at your thermostat, and then you would go downstairs and check and compare the two. However, it's better off that you label them before you remove them. That way you won't run into this issue. But if for some reason you do run into this issue that it's either already off the wall or one of your markers came off your wire whenever you're removing the thermostat. So let's go ahead and show you what you need to do to figure out what wire goes to what. So first, take a good picture of the wires that are upstairs, and then go downstairs and go to your furnace. Once you're down to your furnace, you can open it up. In this case, it's a gas furnace. So in order to open this furnace in particular, you lift here and the panel slides up and out. And then you set the panel to the side. Each furnace is going to vary. Electric furnaces, you'll have to remove some screws to take off the panel, and oil furnaces come apart pretty similar to this. Take that off. And then now that you're down here, turn on the light so you can see. So down on the furnace is where it's wired up. Down below each terminal, you will see what the wire is connected to. So this is R, this is W, this is yellow or Y, and generally the Y terminal will have two wires under it because the other wire will go to the outdoor unit. Then you have G, which is fan, and then you have common, which you'll have two wires going to it. One may go up to the thermostat and the other one will go out to the outdoor unit. But in some cases, you won't have a C wire, and that is perfectly okay. Some thermostats require it, some don't. It just depends on the thermostat that you got and whether or not you have enough wires. We put in a Wi-Fi thermostat, so I had to run a new wire. Plus, we plan on upgrading the system, so I figured now or never, essentially, to run the new thermostat line. Because of the old thermostat line, they had two wire lines coming down to this furnace. Here's the other one. So I just took that all out and just ran one solid wire. So once you're down here, go ahead and take a picture of the wiring here, and then go back upstairs, and then you can just look at the what wires what. So in this case, R is on red, white is on W, yellow is on Y, G is on green, and C is on blue. A good way to remember this is R is red, W is white, Y is yellow, G is green, and C is blue or another color, depending on how your system is set up. So that's a good way to remember it. And just make sure that you don't wire it up backwards, because if you wire it up backwards, you could blow your little transformer up here, or you could blow a fuse. In this case, this board has a fuse up top here, a 5 amp fuse. So just be careful whenever you're wiring up. Make sure the furnace power is off. In this case, this furnace has a safety, so it will turn off whenever you remove this, but it's still better off that you completely turn off power, because there's still live electricity in this vicinity, because the safety goes up into a junction box all the way up here, and then that kills the power up here, but you still got power coming down to the switch here, which you want to be very, very careful of. But overall, that's how you wire up a thermostat. I will do a separate video on how to wire up a heat pump at a later date after we replace the system. So it might be a while, like upwards of a year, because this system hasn't had a, it's not time for this one to go yet. Although it is 21 or 22 years old, but it's still kicking. The heat exchanger in this thing looks great. Pardon the silicone grease. Trying to save this inducer. It vibrates really bad because the bearings are going out. But overall, that's how you will wire up a thermostat. Just make sure you wire it up correctly. If when in doubt, call a professional. That way you don't blow up a transformer or a fuse, or even possibly your thermostat, or in this case, you could blow up this control board, and these control boards are not cheap. I've seen them up to $1,000 or cheap as $300. It just depends on your furnace, but just be careful whenever you wire up a thermostat. Disable power so you don't electrocute yourself. It's 24 volts, but 24 volts can make you jump back. Not as bad as 120, 240, or if you're working in commercial, 460, or excuse me, 480. Just be careful. When in doubt, call a professional.